Number 9, Ricardo Mendes-March.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Immigration. Does she stand by her statement that, quote, "We know the importance of family reunification in this government"? If so, does she think it's fair to deport people who have been born in Aotearoa, separating them from their communities and families?
Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Speaker, this is a very serious point of order. Why is someone who applied to come to this country in 2006 allowed to ask a question in this Parliament which changes this country's name without the referendum and sanction of the New Zealand people?
Sorry, I couldn't quite follow that entire...
Why is
Listen to points of order in silence.
Why is someone who applied to come to this country as an immigrant in 2006 when it was called New Zealand allowed to in this Parliament change that?
Hang on. We're going to listen in silence, or those people who are currently talking will be leaving. Start again.
Speaker, my question is a serious one. Why is someone who applied to come to a country called New Zealand as an immigrant in 2006 allowed in this House to change the country's name without the mandate, the approval or referendum of the New Zealand people?
Well, sort of working through it a little bit, could I just say that the person asking the question is an elected member of this House. If he is using a name that's not acceptable to others listening, then I can't do much about that other than to say the point is acknowledged. And Ricardo Mendes-March, please carry on with your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does she agree with the Prime Minister who said that, quote, "It's just not right that people who have no connection to New Zealand are deported to New Zealand? And if so, how is it right for their government to deport people from New Zealand who only have connections to New Zealand?"
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I didn't get to answer the primary.
A point of order, the Right Honourable, the Honourable Erica Sanford.
I didn't get to answer the primary. That was... shall I answer the primary and then move on?
To be honest with you, if I look at it, the primary was adapted to accommodate the point made by the Right Honourable Winston Peters. I think answer that question, he'll have another sup.
Okay, so I'm answering the primary. Okay. Mr. Speaker, in response to the first part of the primary question, yes, I made that statement in relation to the Parent Boost visa that we have been working on all year to provide another pathway for New Zealand citizens and residents to have their parents visit them. In response to the second part of the question, there are always really difficult and complex individual cases within the immigration system, and that is why there are a range of mechanisms through which these cases can be fairly considered, including through the Immigration and Protection Tribunal, delegated decision makers, within Immigration New Zealand, and ministerial intervention. And I have confidence in these avenues to appropriately consider these cases on their individual circumstances as they arise.
Supplementary. Does she agree with the Prime Minister who said that, quote, "It's just not right that people who have no connection to New Zealand are deported to New Zealand," end quote? And if so, how is it right for their government to deport people from New Zealand who only have connections to New Zealand?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I always agree with the Prime Minister.
Does she support regularising the immigration status of people who were born and have grown up in Aotearoa? And if not, why not?
Mr. Speaker, as I said in my primary question, as individual circumstances arise, they are able to be looked at by either Immigration Protection Tribunal or the Minister or delegated decision makers. And each of those cases are able to be seen on their and assessed on their individual merits.
It's enough. I think it's probably not an unreasonable thing to perhaps use, if you want to, the two names Aotearoa New Zealand, but not just the one. Quite clearly, the Minister is sworn as a Minister of a government in New Zealand. Simple as that.
Is that for both?
All right.
Point of order, the Honourable Kira McAnulty.
Thank you very much. I actually think this is quite significant, what you've just said now.
Yeah, I know it is.
In any other instance, a direct translation from English to te reo in this House is permissible because te reo Māori is an official language of this country. Are you saying that In any other instance, a word could be used, te reo, instead of the English version, and ever since it's been official and able to be used in this House, that's okay. But now all of a sudden, members cannot use the term Aotearoa unless they follow it up with New Zealand?
Speaking of the point of order, the Honourable Shane Jones.
A key part of the contribution from the honourable member was a direct translation. Go to the treaty. New Zealand is transliterated as New Tireni. Pemba Reeves popularised the word Aotearoa.
Steve Ogle.
Can I just clarify? New Tireni, New Zealand, was a name given by a Dutch person on their arrival on these shores. Aotearoa is a widely accepted name that originates from the indigenous people of Aotearoa, New Zealand.
The point of order.
Speaker. Point of order. The
in the 1880s and 1890s, a white colonist popularised that name. Before that, no Maori ever thought that was the name for this country because it comes from French Polynesia.
All right, so that's all. And many more comments like that while Well, I'm dealing with the point of. I'll come back to you. Just making the point. Many more interruptions like that will ensure that someone is not here for much further. Look, I was trying to make it clear that for the order of question time, it might be helpful if there was if a person was to refer to Aotearoa New Zealand. In this case, I noticed both words are used at different parts of the primary question, which I think is also kind of interesting. But Standing Order 109 does make it clear that you can address the House in either te reo or English. The issue around the geographic naming of New Zealand is a slightly different thing, and I'll take some time to think about that and come back to the House. Do you right on, Winston Peters?
Mr. Speaker, I'm not meant to make too big a point of this, but he made a very ageistic comment about saying he was there. Now, so I'm not going to take too much offence about that, other than to tell him that, like so many Labour leaders, I'll be around long after he's gone.